Hello friends, my name is Alvy Cado, and I'm here to talk about some of the country's greatest heroes, and not the woke kind that kids are being taught today, but brave men and women who built this country. Our first is Nathanial Lyon. Despite being a Union general who joined the side that opposed states' rights, Mr. Lyon, before the Civil War, had a tremendous career in the U.S. Army as an Indian fighter. He fought the Seminoles as a young man and later honed his skills against the Mexican Army and the Pomo Indians of California. He was born in Ashford, Connecticut on July 14th, 1880, and grew up in a loving Christian home. He was known for being a serious child with a very short temper. He graduated 11th out of 52 cadets from West Point in 1841 and was given the commission of second lieutenant in the U.S. 2nd Infantry Regiment. His first assignment with his new regiment was during the Second Seminole War and was involved during the final months of the conflict. Lyon saw action in the War with Mexico. Despite personally opposing it, but duty calls, he was awarded the commission of first lieutenant after his bravery in the Battle of Mexico City for conspicuous bravery in capturing enemy artillery. After the war, he was sent out west and stationed in the newly acquired territory of California. On May 15, 1850, Lieutenant Nathanial Lyon led what is now known as the Bloody Island Massacre in Clear Lake, California. During this time, Lyon was stationed with the 1st Regiment of Dragoons and led them into battle to fight off 400 Pomo Indians according to military records. The Pomo tribe lived in the area and were forced into labor by newly arriving settlers. The Indians eventually rebelled and brutally killed their overseers. Lieutenant Lyon and his men were ordered to deal with the revolting laborers with extreme prejudice for murdering Andrew Kelsey and Charles Stone. His soldiers rode into Clear Lake, and according to records, there was not less than 400 warriors killed and drowned in Clear Lake, and many more of squaws and children who plunged into the lake and drowned, through fear, committing suicide. So in all, about 800 Native Americans found a watery grave in Clear Lake. The regiment pursued the remaining Pomo into Cajal and Chanel region and dealt with them in a similar fashion. After a few years of being an Indian fighter, Lyon was transferred to the Kansas Territory and stationed at Fort Riley, right at the beginning of the Bleeding Kansas crisis. Lyon himself supported the Republican Party and vowed to deal with the brewing succession crisis by saying, "It's no longer useful to appeal to reason, but to the sword. Who said the Republicans are the bad guys? We were on the good side of the Civil War." In March of 1861, Lyon was stationed at the St. Louis Arsenal in Missouri and wanted to protect it from the governor of the state. The governor, Claiborne Fox Jackson, was secretly corresponding with Jefferson Davis while giving him artillery, but he wanted to capture the arsenal for the Confederacy. Lyons requested to bring in extra manpower to protect the arsenal, but was denied by the general of the district, fellow Indian fighter, William Woman Killer Haney. So Nathaniel Lyon went over his head and talked to his buddy, Francis Blair, who made him commander of the St. Louis Arsenal. He would later temporarily replace Haney as commander of the Western Department on April 23, 1861, due to Haney's Confederate sympathies. Rumors of a growing secessionist movement in Missouri, with the majority of it brewing in Camp Jackson, the headquarters of the secessionists under the leadership of Missouri Governor Jackson, who were assembled to raid the St. Louis Arsenal. So on May 10, 1861, the now General Lyon, along with 6,000 volunteers from the Wide Awake movement, along with some Army regulars, marched into Camp Jackson and captured 669 prisoners. As the soldiers marched the prisoners back into the city of St. Louis, pro-secessionist civilians began to pelt the soldiers and volunteers with rocks and debris. They also began to insult the brigaders that were mostly comprised of Dutch and German volunteers with ethnic slurs. Then gunshots rang out, and 28 civilians were killed, and many more were wounded. The citizens of St. Louis rioted because of the actions of the woke soldiers, which caused a huge anti-woke riot, which lasted for several days until the city was put under martial law. On May 31, 1861, General Nathaniel Lyon was officially made head of the Department of the West. He was in charge of the region, and his first course of action was to get Governor Jackson and commander of the Missouri State Guard, Sterling Price, after the truce signed between former head of the Department of the West, Haney, back in early May, was declared null and void. General Lyon spent over a month chasing down the former governor and his henchmen. He confronted the governor's army despite being outnumbered by more than 2 to 1 on August 10, 1861. at the Battle of Wilson's Creek. He was killed in the battle while leading his soldiers in a counterattack, despite being shot in the leg and head while his horse was killed beneath him. Lyon was fatally shot in the chest and was left behind during the Union Army's retreat. Nathanial Lyon may have been responsible for the slaughter of several hundred Indians and part of the original woke movement, gone over the head of his commanding officer and hot-dogged his man to death, but he was truly an American hero.